Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are again going to look at the July sky and we're going to concentrate on the planets that are visible at sunset and sunrise. But in order to give ourselves a better view, we're going to move lower on the planet, closer to the equator. We won't go too far to start with, just down into southern Europe from our position in fairly northern Europe. That, of course, puts the sun higher in the sky. We are still very much in the summer, but let's see what it does to our view of the planets. Starting with our sunset, of course, we still have this tree in the way, but there is Venus significantly higher above the horizon and visible for more of the month, or at least more easily visible for more of the month. This should mean that the close conjunction between Regulus and Venus, which we did look at in the previous video, but here we go. It is here, hopefully. There we go. It is here visible to the naked eye, so we can see the bright planet Venus right next to Regulus, and we can watch that happening with our own eyes. It's visible in the sky without too much help. From here in Ireland, this was about the view we were getting, and by the time it looked like this, these objects were pretty much under the horizon, certainly below these hills and trees. So already we're getting a much better view. We're going to move back towards the start of the month because Jupiter is just behind the tree. So we will get rid of the landscape and give ourselves a perfectly clear view to the west, which is achievable if you head to the coastline or to a very flat area. But of course, there's Jupiter, much more visible. It gets much brighter. It's visible above the horizon for longer. However, it is still moving back towards its solar conjunction. By the 29th, Jupiter will be directly behind the sun, so it will disappear from our view a few days before that. So here's the moon, firstly coming a little bit closer to Regulus and then moving through and being closer to Venus. So again, those things are much more visible from lower on the planet. We're going to move forward to morning time because the moon and the Pleiades, they also have a close conjunction, and of course Mars and Uranus as well. So here we go, we'll move back to the 4th, which is when Uranus and Mars are having their conjunction, and we can see Mars visible here in a much greater level of darkness this early in the month. There's the Pleiades and there is Uranus, and now that we have moved lower on the planet, Uranus and Mars are even closer together in the sky. We can just about see one of Uranus's moons there as we take a closer look at Mars. We might try to go even lower on the planet and get them even closer together, but before we do, we'll move through to see the moon and the Pleiades very close together. From here in Ireland, the moon didn't occult the Pleiades because they went below the horizon before the occultation could occur, and it does look like that is what's happening here as well. So we may need to go to another different location. Luckily, I do know where to go. A commenter was good enough, helpful enough to give me the location where this conjunction should look its best. So we are a little bit off on the latitude as well. There's a little bit for us to change here, and we will need to change the longitude quite a bit as well. We want it to be east longitude, so we might just hop over to here and I'll change these back, and there we go. That brings us to right on the edge of the Sea of Japan here. We might actually be in the ocean or in the Sea of Japan. We want to go back to morning time, and we are looking at the 11th, so that is the date of the occultation. Of course, we're seeing things at from a very different location, so that means the moon should be able to occult the Pleiades before everything hits the ground. We may need to move back. It doesn't seem to be visible. We'll get rid of the atmosphere to give ourselves the best chance and to make the Pleiades a little easier to see. So we can see the Pleiades here. We can see the moon moving quite close to them, but this is occurring during the day. So I don't think this occultation is visible from here. we might have to move around to another different location. I may be after making a mistake. This might be down to me, but I want to see if I can correct it and get these things into a better position. So to start with, we're going to have to change our position on the Earth. The sun rises in the east, so we want to move away from the east, so the sun unrises, so the sun goes back under the horizon. I think going closer to the equator would help as well. Let's try somewhere like here. So we'll take a closer look again at the moon and the Pleiades, hopefully very close together. Well, they are very close together, but it's still not an occultation. We'll bring back the atmosphere and the ground, or just the atmosphere it seems. And yes, so this is occurring from this location while these objects are above the horizon. So when the moon comes up, it will be just in front of the Pleiades, and as we move forward, the moon will move out of the way. But this is occurring very close to the time of sunrise, so still a little difficult to see. Then again, we won't be able to see this further from sunrise because of the phase of the moon. The moon necessarily has to be quite close to the sun for it to look like that. There is another event that I was told to take a look at from a specific location, but we'll come back to our default location first, just to show what it would look like. It is the conjunction of the moon and Venus and Regulus all getting very close together on the 17th. So we'll move forward to the 17th here. There is the moon, and it is very close to Venus, and it's not very close to Regulus, or at least Regulus isn't very visible in the sky here due to the light of the sunset. We'll get rid of the atmosphere to make things a little bit easier. We'll pull back, and there's Regulus. But of course, the moon moves across the sky very quickly. So from a different location on Earth, if we move back, we can see the moon is more between Venus and Regulus, not on the other side of Venus to Regulus. So we're going to move to a location where this is visible while the sun is under the horizon. Again, I was given a location by a commenter, so that is what I will enter. And here we go. Hopefully I'll be able to delete these numbers. Oh, slight technical difficulty there, but here we are now much closer to the equator, roughly around the Philippines. We should have a much better view from this close to the equator, certainly. We'll turn around to the west, hopefully. Here we go. We are in such a different location. The Milky Way is so much higher in the sky. We can see so much of the core that it is a little bit confusing. It is certainly not a view that I am used to, but there is Venus, the moon, and Regulus definitely above the horizon without the sun. Even with the atmosphere back on, we have a great view. Let's see how high in the sky we can get them. That's pretty good. That is pretty high in the sky. Even with the glow of the sun, we still see Regulus, the moon, and Venus. If we take a closer look, there's Regulus, the narrow crescent moon, and Venus. So this really is the perfect location to see that conjunction from. Of course, it's a pretty loose conjunction, the opposite of a close conjunction. The moon isn't super close to Venus or Regulus, but it does have all of those three bright objects all together. Regulus is quite bright, so it will emerge reasonably early in the evening. Here we are at, well, this is saying 11:30 at UTC +1, which doesn't seem quite right. But then again, that might just be a difficulty with the time. But we can see here the sun is just after going down. We have very few stars in the sky, but Regulus, Venus, and the moon, Regulus just about visible, getting more visible as we get later, but staying above the horizon. We are lucky that in this exact situation, this tree on the horizon isn't blocking Regulus. Regulus is just a little to the side. But of course, if we compare this view with what we would see from back here in Ireland, And yep, that is looking a lot more like 12 o'clock, half 12. Not exactly our local midday. As you can see, that's closer to about half 1 due to the summer time, the daylight savings time that we use here in Ireland. As the sun goes down, well, there's Venus and the moon, but as you can see, the moon has moved quite far from Regulus, and Regulus just isn't visible. The sky doesn't get dark enough for us to see Regulus before it sets. So I hope that some of you are in the correct locations to see those events now that we've taken a look at them here. Of course, it doesn't matter. Even if you're in the wrong location like I am, we've now gotten to see what those events would look like, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this video, then please do like it. If you like this kind of content, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you'd like to read this information, you can do so on my website, queevinscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.